This is a special edition of Late Night Help. I'm Mark Allen. As a new school year begins, students and parents are facing the unique challenges of the pandemic. And of course, if you're going back to work, you have the same kind of challenges. We're going to spend some time with Jeanniey Walden. She's the Chief Innovation and Marketing Officer for Daily Pay, the gold standard in providing on-demand pay to companies and their employees. Jeanniey is an expert at helping companies and employees adapt to new working environments, and I guess that includes going back to school, Jeanniey?
That does, absolutely. It changes the parent's life when your children go back to school in person or remotely.
I can't imagine having my kids back in school at this point, but they're adults, so I don't have any input into that. What should parents do when the school system says, all right, come on down?
You know, it's really a personal choice from a safety and health perspective for the family to make. Some families have chosen, even if the school says we're open, come on back, to ask for an online alternative, and schools are being very accommodating in that scenario. You know, the reality is the school superintendents, the teachers are doing everything they can to create a clean and safe and healthy environment, but there's no promises. So if you are concerned, talk to the school and they'll have some accommodations for you.
And what are you recommending to parents who say, gee, I want there's got to be social interaction when a kid is young. I'm afraid of all the kids who are growing up without interaction because of COVID. What should they do?
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, it's a very interesting challenge because you're right. When we've done studies and surveys for students, they are dying to get back in the classroom. They really want to be around their friends. They want to have social interaction. They want to have a learning environment that's not their parents anymore. And they want life to return to normal. Of course, they don't necessarily, when they're younger, understand all of the safety and health risks, even for the entire family. So what we're recommending to parents is, you know, if your school is online or if you are in a scenario where you can't send your kids into the classroom, but you still want them to have that social interaction, there's a lot of groups coming up, they're calling them learning pods, where you can get together with other families that have been very compliant around COVID regulations and have been social distancing and quarantining, so you feel safe about getting together in just small groups to really test it out and see how it goes, because we are going to be in this for at least another 6 months. There are vaccines and early trials, but there's nothing out there, and what is it? It's 84% of people said they're not going to be first in line for the vaccine anyway, and we've got, you know, the verge of flu season coming up in the next 60 days. So it's going to continue to change and be challenging from a health standpoint for all the children. Jeanniey,
please make us go back to the old normal. I would really like that. What are you doing? I mean, I don't know if you have children or not, but what's Jeanniey doing in your own personal life, both work-wise and home?
Yeah, you know, so my children are grown up too, but my youngest was a senior in high school last year at a boarding school, and she was sent home in March, and she did online school for the rest of the semester, and it was very challenging for her mentally. You know, she was missing her senior year. They did an online graduation. She ended up taking her classes from her room where nobody was around, and that social interaction wasn't there. She went to the Citadel this fall, which is a military school, which is absolutely in person, and it is a very different experience. You know, there are pre-boxed lunches. Nobody touches anything. There are 4 children at a table for lunch. They are tested temperature-wise at least twice a week. They have a quarantine section if you test positive for COVID, or they send you home. It's a time that causes a lot of stress for her and all of the kids at the Citadel. So you do feel badly for them. Now, my older child is in the workplace, and I will tell you, she's in retail. She went into the work office, and thank goodness she was not working the day that a woman came into the store with COVID. And out of the 10 store associates that interacted with her, 3 of them got COVID within the next 3 days.
Oh, my.
So it's a very, it is a very stressful time for our essential workers, just as much as it is for our children. So it's taking a toll on our mental health and, making us very concerned. Now, on the other side, you have those of us that are working remotely and are not being exposed to all of that are stressed out about finances. Are we going to lose our job? Is somebody else in the household going to lose their job? How are we going to make ends meet? If I am fortunate enough to make it viable, do I start saving? And so there's a lot of stress happening right now. No matter who you are or what you do, you really have to stop and look at how you can make the best out of it and create the positivity and enjoy every minute of having the time to be home, to see your family more, and really embrace it as a positive opportunity.
You've written books and launched 5 companies. You were recently named Transformational Chief Marketing Officer of the Year by the CMO Club. That's the Chief Marketing Officers Organization. But you're used to going into an office, aren't you? And having social action. You're a social person, I can tell.
That road warrior. Yes, no. I used to tell people that my home address was 10A on the United flight, and that I stopped home occasionally to pick up my dry cleaning. I have. World has changed dramatically, but I have to tell you, when it became remote, we looked for the positive options. So at Daily Pay, we think of ourselves as the gold standard in the industry. So we started to do things that the best companies or the best experiences would create. At Daily Pay, we hired an online fitness instructor, a little company called Bell Fitness that 3 days a week will motivate us to work out so that we don't feel like we're missing out on the gyms. We create our own online events where we can do coffee. So you can sign into an online meeting with 20 to 50 other people that are just working just as to simulate that in-office experience. So you can look up and ask somebody if they saw the latest celebrity news or a question about work. And from a work environment, I've got to say, when you're on a Zoom call and your pets come behind you or your significant other comes behind you, it opens up a different dialogue where you're talking about personal life instead of just being a name and a title from a company at an in-person event. And we're seeing that we're starting to make higher quality, longer lasting relationships with those we interact with. So it's not all bad. It's just all different.
And I still want to see that happen with the pets and the significant others on the local news and even on the national news when somebody is in their own home. I still think that would be kind of cool to see. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh.
Somebody walking behind in a bath towel going, oops, I forgot. But
yeah. Well, there's a woman that was doing a section about cutting your own hair whose husband took a shower behind her. So there is that. You can YouTube that one. So you can see that. My husband actually took a meeting from an outdoor kayaking place where we were at a hot dog stand, and he was trying to tell his boss that he was just outside our house, but there was a picture of a giant hot dog behind him. So that stopped for some interesting conversation on what our personal decorating style was. So, there's lots of little things that happen that make it a lot of fun. I think you can find them mostly on TikTok and YouTube.
Jeanniey, thank you for spending some time with us. Jeanniey Walden, she is the Chief Innovation and Marketing Officer for Daily Pay. This is Late Night Health. I'm Mark Allen. We'll be back very soon.